Welcome to Movies in the Making. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the 1994 crime drama film Pulp Fiction, originally released by Miramax and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Here, we will dive deep into the story of the production of this film. It is widely considered to be Tarantino's magnum opus. With so much happening in the film, so much would obviously be happening behind the scenes. So, sit back and enjoy the show. You are all in for a nonlinear ride, by which I mean a linear presentation that is easy for you all to follow, unlike the film itself. Quentin Tarantino came up with the idea for Pulp Fiction by drawing inspiration from classic pulp genres like those found in magazines such as Black Mask, which featured writers such as Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett. Tarantino wants to take familiar, well-worn stories such as the classic mobster and double-cross tropes and present them in a fresh, non-linear narrative structure. By subverting conventional cinematic storytelling, he aimed to engage audiences in a more interactive way, forcing them to pay attention to the shifting narrative elements. Tarantino and his collaborator Roger Avary started working on the screenplay in 1990, influenced by films like Black Sabbath, The Rank Organization 1963, and Bonnie and Clyde, Warner Bros. 1967. Their goal was to create a film where separate, intertwining stories felt new by focusing on how characters' lives overlap in one shared world, using familiar narrative devices in unconventional ways to keep the audience on edge. Initially, Pulp Fiction was conceived as a straightforward anthology with each of its three segments to be directed by a different filmmaker. Quentin Tarantino had written two of the stories before completing his first sold screenplay, True Romance, Warner Bros. 1993, and making his directorial debut with Reservoir Dogs, Miramax 1992. After both films became successful, Tarantino revisited his scripts, adding a third segment and reshaping them into the iconic film we know today, which he directed himself rather than having multiple directors handle each story. When writing Pulp Fiction, Tarantino drew inspiration from some of his personal experiences, such as a trip to Amsterdam, which influenced the character of Vincent Vega. During his time in Amsterdam, the city's unique atmosphere left a significant impression on him, and elements of that experience found their way into the script, reflecting both his personal journey and Vincent's. Tarantino emphasized that to create authentic characters and stories, writers must be genuinely curious about human nature, stepping outside their own experiences and environments. He believes that understanding diverse perspectives, whether through conversations with people from different walks of life or exploring new surroundings, is crucial for discovering the depth of humanity that drives compelling storytelling. Samuel L. Jackson almost did not land the iconic role of Jules Winfield in the film, despite Tarantino initially telling him that the part was his. After reading the character, Jackson was told the role was his, only to later be informed that Paul Calderon, who had auditioned for another part, was also being considered for Jules. Jackson had to return for an acting contest, where a mix-up during the audition, when the person running lines mistakenly called him Lawrence Fishburne, further frustrated him. After a tense audition, Jackson was told by producer Lawrence Bender that his powerful delivery of the diner scene ultimately won him the role. Jackson went on to become an essential collaborator with Tarantino, but he still laughs off questions about his future involvement in the director's upcoming films. John Travolta was cast in the film following a chance meeting with Tarantino, who was a fan of his work and wanted to meet him in person. The two bonded over board games and a conversation about Tarantino's fiancées, as Travolta wanted to ensure the young director was financially secure. After spending hours discussing finances, Tarantino presented Travolta with two scripts: From Dusk Till Dawn, later directed by Robert Rodriguez and released by Miramax in 1986, and Pulp Fiction. Travolta turned down the former, calling himself not a vampire person, and chose Pulp Fiction, which he felt was the better script. Tarantino later explained that he offered Travolta the role of Vincent Vega because he saw him in a philosophical viewpoint that was essential to the character. The role of Vincent was originally written for Michael Madsen, but he turned it down, which allowed Travolta to take on the part. This role helped revitalize Travolta's career, which had been in decline after a series of flops. Funnily enough, Pulp Fiction happened to be better received by film critics than From Dusk Till Dawn. Travolta, who had never tried heroin, struggled to prepare for his role as Vincent in the film. To help him tap into the mindset of a heroin addict, Tarantino connected him with a recovering heroin addict friend. This friend suggested that Travolta could simulate the feeling of being on heroin by getting drunk on tequila and sitting in a hot pool. Excited by this unconventional method, Travolta and his wife took to a hotel hot tub, lining up tequila shots and enjoying the experience as part of the preparation for the role. Uma Thurman was not initially on Tarantino's list of potential actresses for the role of Mia in the film, with names like Virginia Madsen and Jennifer Beals being considered instead. However, after meeting with Thurman alone, Tarantino became convinced that she was the right fit for the part. Despite her initial hesitation due to the film's intense and unsettling content, particularly the infamous GIMP scene, Tarantino spent several hours with Thurman discussing the role and its significance, which eventually won her over. Her decision to join the cast led to a career-changing performance that earned her an Oscar nomination and established a lasting collaboration with Tarantino, including both Kill Bill films. In hindsight, Thurman admitted that she could not believe she had ever hesitated. Tarantino initially wanted Matt Dillon to play the role of Butch in the film, even writing the role with Dillon in mind, but the actor did not fully connect with the script and was more interested in playing Vincent Vega. Meanwhile, Bruce Willis, a huge fan of Reservoir Dogs, read the Pulp Fiction screenplay and also hoped to play Vincent. After Tarantino cast Travolta in the role, Willis lobbied for Jules, but Tarantino rejected that idea. Instead, the director encouraged Willis to reconsider the role of Butch. After revisiting the script, Willis agreed to take on the part, which helped lend the film additional credibility, given his Hollywood star status. Though not Tarantino's first choice, Willis's casting was crucial to the film's success. Pulp Fiction was filmed across various iconic locations in Los Angeles, contributing to its unique blend of settings and narrative. The diner scene with Pumpkin and Honey Bunny was shot at the now-demolished Hawthorne Grill in Los Angeles, a 1956 establishment known for its Googie architecture. Other key locations include the Atwater Village neighborhood, where Lance's home was filmed in a 1912 craftsman bungalow. The location's open floor plan and intimate, rundown setting provided the perfect backdrop for the film's dialogue-heavy scenes. Marcellus and Mia Wallace's house was filmed in Beverly Hills at a 1960s private residence with panoramic views, showcasing modern architecture that contrasted with other film locations. Jackrabbit Slim's was a combination of a real 1959 bowling alley in Glendale and a meticulously crafted interior set in Culver City, featuring the vintage design elements like classic cars converted into tables. The creation of the Jackrabbit Slim set was the most expensive part of the production of Pulp Fiction, which had a modest budget of $8 million. The set cost around $150,000, a significant portion of the budget, especially considering the film's limited funds. While the budget was initially smaller, it increased when Bruce Willis joined the cast, raising the overall cost due to high salary. Despite this, the investment in the Jackrabbit Slim set paid off, as the iconic 50s-themed diner sequence became one of the most memorable and defining moments of the film. Additional memorable locations in the film include a suburban home where Captain Coons delivers his gold watch monologue, filmed in Mar Vista, capturing a vintage, wartime feel. The River Glen Motel, located at Riverside Drive and Glendale Boulevard, was used for the scenes where Butch and Fabienne hide out, with the iconic Glendale Hyperion Bridge in the backdrop. Butch's North Hollywood apartment, where a crucial scene involving Vincent Vega takes place, was chosen for its specific layout and geography. Lastly, the house where Jules and Vincent dispose of Marvin's body was located in Studio City, featuring a feminine 1950s-style interior that contrasted with the chaos of the scene. These locations, along with their distinctive architecture and atmosphere, played a key role in shaping the film's offbeat narrative. The iconic overdose scene in Pulp Fiction, where Vincent injects Mia with adrenaline to revive her after a heroin overdose, was created through a clever filmmaking technique. Tarantino filmed the syringe action in reverse, with Travolta pulling the needle upwards from Thurman's chest, and later reversed the footage in post-production to make it appear as though he was aggressively plunging the needle in. This method added authenticity and intensity to the scene, avoiding the use of a fake chest plate, which Tarantino felt would be too artificial. The sound design, particularly the thump when Travolta's hand collides with Furman's chest, further enhanced the realism. Tarantino was inspired by a real-life anecdote from the documentary American Boy, a profile of Stephen Prince, New Empire Films 1978, where a man describes injecting adrenaline to an overdosed woman. The intense build-up, combined with the careful execution of its technique, made the scene unforgettable, contributing to the film's legacy as a masterclass in cinematic tension and innovation. Child actor Chandler Lindauer, who played young Butch, had to listen to Christopher Walken's entire monologue as Captain Coons explains the Gold Watch, even though he did not understand the speech's context or profanity. During the scene, Walken briefly forgot his next line, which led to a pause in the delivery. Tarantino chose to keep this take, as the moments of hesitation added a sense of authenticity to the performance. Steve Hibbert landed the role of the Gimp after being invited by Tarantino, whom he knew from their time performing together at the Groundlings Theater. Hibbert auditioned for the part with a silent, improvised scene alongside Tarantino, where he played the submissive Gimp to Tarantino's master. His background in improv helped him fully commit to the role, which required him to portray a mute, helpless character without dialogue. Filming the scene was intense, as the set was closed for 3 days due to its grim context, and Hibbert focused on portraying the reality of the situation rather than playing for laughs. Although Tarantino did not give much direction beyond technical notes, Hibbert and the team understood the scene would become iconic. Hibbert's performance as the Gimp became his most famous role. He later joked that his obituary would start with the line, "Steve Hibbert, who played the Gimp in Pulp Fiction." Side note, Tarantino originally planned to use the song My Sharona by Nanak for the scene, but one of the band's members, who had become a born-again Christian, objected to the song featuring in any scene involving sexual violence. Sally Menke became Tarantino's editor after he hired her for his debut film Reservoir Dogs. Initially looking for someone who would work for a low budget, Menke was drawn to the script and especially excited by the involvement of Harvey Keitel in Reservoir Dogs. She took a spontaneous phone call from a payphone in the Rocky Mountains to confirm the job, and a collaboration between her and Tarantino began. Menke's editing style, characterized by its focus on dialogue, tension-building slow motion, and action synced to obscure music, became integral to Tarantino's films, which included Pulp Fiction. Her legacy is honored by the Sally Menke Memorial Editing Fellowship at the Sundance Institute, which supports rising editors in the field. The soundtrack for Pulp Fiction was crafted to reflect Tarantino's unique vision of blending music with film in a way that felt timeless and true to the film's alternate reality. Tarantino sought to avoid the typical approach of using obvious hit songs to set the period, instead opting for more obscure tracks to shape the film's identity. Music supervisor Karen Rachtman played a key role in sourcing rights for these lesser-known songs, working closely with Tarantino to ensure the soundtrack captured the spirit of the film. The songs, ranging from surf rock to soul classics, helped define the film's cool and quirky atmosphere, with tracks like Chuck Berry's You Never Can Tell and Urge Overkill's cover of Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon becoming iconic. Unlike other films that relied on popular music to create energy or set the era, Pulp Fiction used the soundtrack to create a distinctive, immersive experience, setting a new precedent for how music could define a film's narrative and style. As of the 17th of January 2025, Pulp Fiction is a 92% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 95 out of 100 critics score on Metacritic, an 8.9 rating on IMDb, making it the 8th highest rated film of all time on that website, and a 4.3 rating on Letterboxd. The film's budget was $8 million, and it grossed a total of about $108 million following its release date of the 14th of October 1994. The film won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay and was nominated for 6 other categories, including Best Picture. Pulp Fiction is jointly owned by BN Media Group and Paramount Global. BN Media Group purchased distributor Miramax in March 2016. After Viacom and CBS Incorporated merged in December 2019, the new company Viacom CBS, now named Paramount Global, announced its intent to purchase 49% ownership of Miramax, thereby giving them the rights to its film and television library, including Pulp Fiction. The purchase was finally completed on the 3rd of April 2020. And that wraps up our deep dive into the making of Pulp Fiction. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on all things movies in the making. Let us know in the comments what you think of Pulp Fiction, or if you have any favorite moments from that film we did not touch upon, or what films you would like to hear covered by this channel. Also be sure to check out our community page, where we announce what films will be talked about by this channel each week. New posts arrive every Friday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time on Movies in the Making, where we will be talking about Blue Velvet, De Laurentiis Entertainment Group, 1986, in loving memory of its director David Lynch, and more films to follow along the way. Tune in for more Movies in the Making as we uncover the stories behind cinema's most unforgettable films. This has been Jason Scotchmer, film enthusiast and passionate about the arts.